बाबा हाई भन्दै त्यहाँ यहाँनिर हाई भन्दै
हाई
उता क्यामेरामा हाई भन्दै हाई भन्दै नि त Namaste, hello everyone. Welcome to Nyano Diapers presents the fourth trimester. So this is a new podcast that we come to you. Jutta fuskyo. And as I say, I'm a special guest tonight. More than the guest that I will introduce, another guest. This is the first time Anka is joining us on any of the episodes. So the fourth. Eating sugar, no papa. Telling lies, no papa. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Mama introduction सकाउन दिनु साच यहाँ बच्ची गर्न साच So the fourth trimester show को नामले भने अनुसार नै we talk about after childbirth the changes our body goes through that part say I feel like हामी धेरै कुरा गर्दैनौँ यो विषयमा हैन र आजको इन्ट्रेस्टिङ हुन्छ this episode with her around उसको आफ्नै tangent आफ्नै equation चलिरहेछ So yeah we'll be talking about the experiences post childbirth र आफ्नो experiences share गर्नको लागि I have a very 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 special Baba how will I do the program like this Maya I have a very special guest with me today my dearest friend please welcome Zenisha Moktan Hi babe.
Hi.
Please can you give your little further more introduction? This one not letting me speak at all, you know.
I thought you were gonna say today we have Priyanka ko maiju.
Yeah, some parts I forgot.
Maiju.
Baba, you're getting very difficult to handle. I'll send you home, okay?
Yes. I somewhat मैले उ खोल्दैछु के रे I started the Johnny now it won't go off.
Yeah. You were the one who taught her.
Yeah. So yeah, I am a mom.
Of two
Beautiful now,
babies.
2 beautiful babies. So yeah, that's my introduction, Ailele.
Okay. So before we get into the more intense questions, so how is it being the mom of 2 beautiful babies?
Exhausting, but it's really fulfilling, I would say, in more ways than one.
Okay. First time around र second time around को journey को म अझै धेरै कुराकानी गर्छु यहाँसँग हैन but before we dive deep into all these questions about motherhood and how it changes your life and all that I wanted to first introduce our first segment which is called the Nyano Mommy Diapers Baba के भयो आजको एपिसोड एकदम इन्ट्रेस्टिङ होला जस्तो छ हैन So your segment ma we're going to explore more about your pregnancy journey, how it was, any complications you went through, prenatal or postnatal health ko bare ma and sabai kuraharu hami garchham हैन So first I wanted to ask you first time ko pregnancy and first time ko experience childbirth ko second time is there a lot of differences
Very different.
What did you feel?
Mero like it, it was very different. So the first time around I was pregnant with Dia. Let's say I had every possible symptom in the book, like morning sickness, everything, mainly morning sickness. I know. So I was throwing up left, right, and center, like not just mornings, afternoons, evenings, nighttime, whatever. So that was really difficult. But the delivery was easy. So it was natural birth, very easy. I had tikko labor pain. Unsani baby came out perfect. Super easy. Second, pregnancy was easy. Okay, so there wasn't sickness
You were more active when
I was more active. Yeah. I could eat. I had an appetite. Everything was fine. But again, delivery was difficult because छोराको चाहिँ umbilical cord was around his neck 3 times, हैन So strangulation को एकदमै high risk भएको हुनाले चाहिँ we opted to go for a CS. So planned CS हुँदाखेरि relatively easy, you know exactly when you're going to give birth हुन्छ नि सब डेट सेट देखाएर टाइम मिलाएर सबै गर्यो perfectly. We went in, but then after I had the baby there were complications, and it's a normal complication पछि सुन्दाखेरि with CS babies. It was something called TTN. And त्यसमा चाहिँ in very short चाहिँ बच्चाको जुन लङ्समा पानी हुन्छ नि त पेटमा बस्दाखेरि त they don't need to breathe there, so पानी नै हुन्छ. So त्यो पानी चाहिँ deliver गर्दाखेरि, so when the baby is coming out and they pushहरू गर्दाखेरि गर्दाखेरि जस्तो लङ्सले चाहिँ absorb गर्ने रहेछ क्या लङ्सले absorb गर्ने रहेछ पानी. तर त्यो पानी चाहिँ सिएसमा चाहिँ बच्चा इज जस्ट सिटिङ पर्फेक्टली अनि स्वाट काटेर निकाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ अलिकति त्यो अब्जर्ब हुनु नभ्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ बाहिर आइसकेपछि त्यो लङ्समा पानी अझै बस्ने सो त्यो पानी बसेको भएर ही कान्ट ब्रिथ प्रपरली सो द्याट वाज ऱ्यापिड ब्रिथिङ दिस द्याट ही ह्याड टु बी पुट इन अ भेन्टिलेटर सो वाज भेरी भेरी स्ट्रेसफुल 2 weeks we stayed at the hospital and having to leave Dia for that long with Dikesh and me both at the hospital, I know. So that was difficult.
So, more disclaimer दिइहाल्छु है. There is Priyanka and Anita running around the frame today. So, बिबिचमा मान्छेहरू दौडेको देख्नुभयो भने दर्शकहरू नतर्सिनु होला. This is how it is, you know, living with a little baby. And we wanted to show you the real side of motherhood. This is as real as it can get. यस्तै हो.
Unbothered. We'll do this.
Yeah, we'll do this. I'm trying to not put my focus over there. It's very hard because she's running. Baba Lord, Baba, no, that is the camera.
As long as cameras don't fall, I think we
as
should
long
be
as
fine.
cameras don't fall, I think this is what we wanted to show you, right? The raw side of motherhood that we don't really talk about. Anyways, so
and we don't see also in
we
interviews.
don't really see also.
Perfectly matte.
जहिले पनि हामी perfect side देखाउँछौँ हैन, but it's actually not perfect and it's actually this difficult. Baba, के भयो? There's going to be constant moments of her crying and me getting her to me and then
How to do this?
How to do this show today? Priyanka has left the building because it was impossible to do the show with her around. Although we really tried, हैन. एकछिन यहाँले देखिहाल्नु भयो, but I think she's in an age where it's very difficult for her to stay calm in one place and actually enjoy this because
I think she's been pretty calm for the past 1 hour.
She
actually,
has been calm, but then धेरै बेरसम्म
we can't do
we
that
can't
to
do
her.
it.
Yeah,
We shouldn't do it to her also. Yeah, उसलाई घरिघरि गाली पनि गर्न मिल्दैन, you know. And I think यो विषयमा मलाई अर्को कुरा गर्न मन थियो. And talking about how kids are raised, हैन, I really wanted to have this discussion with you because I've seen a very different way of you handling your kids and dealing with them, which हामी धेरै जस्तो घरहरूमा देख्दैनौँ क्या. Because, you know, I think धेरै जस्तो केसेसमा I feel like it's very important that you understand where the child is coming from and their mental capability and understanding. उनीहरूले कहाँसम्म भ्याउँछ त त्यो रेन्जमा चाहिँ हामी नबसेर I feel like a lot of familiesले आफ्नो expectations थोपार्छ नि त आफ्नो बच्चाहरूमा and then if they don't do it like how you want them to act or react, then you get mad and gali गर्ने and all that. So your parenting and how important it is to parent a kid in a certain way. र नेपालमा के like practices you think are wrong when it comes to raising a child? यो बारेमा अलिकति we really want to know.
I think मैले याद गरेकोमा चाहिँ other than the parent themselves, and first of all, parents ko pani afno issues bhai नै हाल्छ, how they were raised, उहाँहरुकै आफ्नो maybe voices weren't heard as a child. So कतै न कतै subconsciously they believe कि बच्चाले मैले भनेको मान्नु पर्छ अथवा you know that part त छँदै नै छ. Secondary चाहिँ एकदमै बाहिरको मान्छेहरुको इन्फ्लुएन्स हुन्छ कि like उसले के भन्ठान्ला मेरो बच्चालाई you know, badmas bhanla ki I need to show that I am a good mother and that my children are a reflection of me. So they take it very, very personally. Mere like say why it becomes slightly easier to be a little okay with this is I am the kind of person that is not so affected by the outside. You know, as long as me and my child are in the same wavelength, I am fine and I don't need her to perform for anybody else.
Exactly.
So once that is out of the window, then what I do with my child is about her and me. And of course, there are times I need to, you know, tweak in maybe my anger, maybe the way I speak, and anything, a few things here and there. But other than that, mostly I think I'm pretty good. I've handled it that way. Asine Orniko, you know, Arbena, he made a very sano observation which was funny to him. So we went like a family lunch. And we went in, and then there was one auntie types. अब अलिकति दूरका रिश्तेदार भनौँ न हैन. अब उहाँले त हामीलाई देखिरहेको चिनिरहेको अब दियालाई मेबी देखिरहेको. So she feels like she is close to Dia. तर दियाले त first time देखेको हो नि त. So we went in, and Dia had just come out of her gymnastics class, and she was hungry. She wanted to have lunch. So we went in, and she doesn't like being touched. के So ऊ पनि खुसी भएर एकदम दियालाई आएर एकदम हग गरेर के. And Dia was like, don't touch me खालेको reaction दियो नि त. So she was like, how, you know, like they are supposed to be this very sweet girl on Instagram or Facebook or the stories that they see. And my mother-in-law was also like a little like, you know, don't, they have to behave गर्नु हुँदैन. So अनि मैले चाहिँ Orniko tells me this पछि and मैले चाहिँ दिया भनेर के. And so normally moms would be like त्यस्तो गर्नु हुँदैन, त्यस्तो नभन टाइप्स. अनि मैले के भनेर थाहा छ दिया के भन्नु दिया don't do that, say यसो भने दिया don't say that, please say फेरि भन्छु है यसो भनेर क्या मैले दिया say please don't touch me भनेर क्या मैले so the point was not for her to not say don't touch me but say please don't touch me भनेर क्या, and which is very funny. So I think this, if my child wants to say don't touch me, if she doesn't want to greet somebody,
exactly,
if she, in that moment, you know, she doesn't want somebody to hug her or kiss her or tap her or pull her cheeks, and she gets irritated and says don't, she's always supposed to say that.
Yeah, she's allowed to express.
I will never tell her to say or to just give her that kiss or just go and hug to please this other adult.
Yeah.
Because it's more important for her to understand her boundaries. ऊ के कुरामा voice out गर्न सक्छ, के कुरामा सक्दैन.
Or के कुरा उसको comfort zone भन्दा बाहिर छ and she's not liking it, you know.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us growing up, maybe not me per se, but a lot of us growing up, maybe we were, you know, told to behave in a certain
Forced
way.
to be
and then if somebody wants to give us a hug and we don't want to, we say, जो गर त्यहाँ hug, ऊ हो फलाना ढिम्काना uncle, auntie, whatever.
Or बदमास यस्तो गर्ने हो यस्तो टाइपको. नमस्ते मैले सबभन्दा ढिङ्गो त नमस्ते गर्ने कुरामा हो कि नमस्ते गर भनेर भन्छ होइन. धेरै जस्तो बच्चा देख्छु, बच्चालाई गर्न मन हुँदैन नि त. Of course that kid has उसको own space or things he wants to do and गयो भने मामा पिट्छ है नमस्ते गर. जबरजस्ती इज दिस यु नो. एकदम धेरै देख्ने चाहिँ मैले त्यो ग्रिट गर्ने कुराहरूमा नमस्ते गर या त ल अङ्कललाई हग गरिदियो त यसो गरिदियो त या आन्टीलाई हग गरिदियो किस गरिदियो. बच्चालाई मन छैन भने पनि आई सी द पेरेन्ट्स or whoever is handling the बच्चा forcing the kid to do that, which I also find it is very wrong.
And it's not like they don't love their kids, but they want their kids to be performing in front of these other people. Okay?
Yeah.
What will this person say about my child?
अनि अर्को एउटा चाहिँ how important do you think it is to try to understand, you know, जस्तो एउटा बच्चा सानो बच्चा 2-3 वर्षको बच्चाको दिमागले त कति नै भ्याउँछ र उसको अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ अनुसारमा उसलाई जे ठिक लाग्छ उसको एज अनुसार त्यो ठिक हो नि त होइन. तर आई थिङ्क धेरै जस्तो पेरेन्ट्स fail to think from that point of view जस्तो लाग्छ क्या मलाई. So let's talk a little bit about this also, like their space, their energy, how important it is to protect that.
Absolutely. I think we should try and find the right balance because when we, let's say, come into this world as human beings, like every other animal, what are we striving for is survival, right? So I want the best for me. We're born like that. I know, मलाई यो पनि चाहियो, मलाई त्यो पनि चाहियो, मलाई मेरो perfect ठाउँमा, मलाई तिमी बोलेको यो certain volume मा मलाई ठिक छ भने that's the only one I want. तिम्रो voice त्यो भन्दा माथि भयो भने I don't want it, you know. I want you to hug me right now. I want 10 hugs right now. I want 10 kisses. So everything is me.
Yeah.
And then when they're growing into trying to fit into the society and learn the ways of the society, that's when our role as a parent comes into play, and we're teaching them it's not always about you, it's also maybe friends, it's family. So we're also teaching them. So completely, my opinion, completely ल तिम्रै हिसाबले गर जे तिमीलाई अहिले तिमी त्यहाँ ठिक छौ हुन्छ नि. The sky is pink भने pink त फेरि मुभीको नाम भन्नुपर्छ, it's supposed to be, but no, I'll be like, you know, yes, the sky is pink sometimes. But generally it's blue, you know. We want to try and teach them. So I think we have to be able to strike the right balance. In that, we should not overstep boundaries of the child or make that child feel like कि मैले जे गरे पनि wrong हो. You know, when I'm lectured all the time constantly, यो पनि मिलेन त्यो पनि मिलेन, so the child should not have this कि मलाई केही पनि आउँदैन रहेछ. So जे कुराको लागि पनि looking, seeking for approval, seeking for validation, seeking for के भन्ने consent from the other person. So there's a balance, you know, for us to tell the child that yes, you are important, and yes, we will try and manage everything around you, but there is a time and space for everything, and for now, we as the adults in your lives still know a little better
than you.
So listen to me also. So that I think there's a fine balance, you know, how to tread that way.
Okay, अर्को पनि कुरा, see, with a lot of my guests say I was talking more about the immediate fourth trimester, with like the body changes and all that. I'll get to that with you also, but because you're very well spoken and you also have a very good influence and you share all of these things, so I thought we'd dive deeper today into the growing process of the child. यो पनि खासै कुरा हुँदैन नि त, people don't really talk about it. So my main focus on this episode with Zenisha is to talk about, because she has 2 beautiful kids, one's a toddler, one's actually 5 years complete boy, so she's going to school. So let's talk about that aspect more in the first segment. अब अर्को कुरा चाहिँ, we were talking about boundaries and how, you know, we as adults, we feel like we know a little bit more than children. That while raising children, I would say I wanted to talk about how it's, you know, pretty okay Asian side of the world culture मा बच्चालाई हात उठाउन हैन हात उठायो भने डिसिप्लिन हुने खालीको सिद्धान्त छ नि त यहाँ. So what is your take on that, and how do you think we should find a balance in that? Because हातै उठाउँदै नहुने भने त I think नेपालमा त चल्दैन because pretty much everybody is raised. I was raised like that. I don't know about you, हैन. So त्यो balance कतिको ल्याउन जरुरी छ. How good or bad is that? What is the impact you think that's going to have on the child growing up?
My parents, मेरो आमाबाउले त कहिले पनि हात उठाएन, but I was in a boarding school, which means I did get spanked quite a bit with like
from teachers.
Canes, from teachers. So I'm not very alien to the concept of getting beaten. You know, I would still say violence of any kind is bad. You know, like say even in a marriage, there's so many people who are okay with ek झापड खाने or being spoken to very rudely and things like that. Abuse नै भनौं. हात उठाउनु त abuse त ठुलै भइहाल्यो. I mean even like
verbal abuse,
verbal abuse,
looking down,
disrespect, and all of
tone,
that is also, and it's very okay for that. So त्यस्तै हो कि, so त्यही कन्सेप्टले नै I think बच्चालाई पनि it's all that almost translates into it being okay to raise their hands on children. I would say it's a complete no-no, because हात उठाउनु भनेको is not about the child or disciplining the child. It's about managing your own anger and your own issues ni ta. So afuma bhako issues,
and putting it out on the child.
Problems, instead of trying to fix yourself, you're sort of trying to give it another meaning and saying ki यो गरेन भने चाहिँ डिसिप्लिन हुँदैन मेरो बच्चा. त्यो बहाना हो कि, त्यो एक्सट्रिम बहाना हो. डिसिप्लिन भनेको के त? डिसिप्लिन भनेको समटाइम्स भन्नु बित्तिकै कुरा हुन्छ. Sometimes it might take a day, sometimes it might take a month, sometimes it might take a year. Like you and I, everything takes time. Every new concept, every new learning भनौँ न. कसैले स्विमिङ पानीमा फाल्दिनु बित्तिकै डुब्छ भनेर फतङ फुतुङ गरेर माथि आउँछ होला. कसैले त फतङ फुतुङ गरेर पनि सक्दैन नि त. Someone will take a month, someone will take a year. So we have to be aware of our own actions, and if you are doing this, I mean हात उठाउने, and if you are not being able to manage yourself, first try and fix yourself. I would say your own mental state, your own mental pressure. Sometimes of course there's stress at work, and I think alikati pat put is the garnu ta, it doesn't really personally it's okay that like paya garum like that is fine for me.
That's what I also do.
Like that,
but like nothing
but
intense,
हात उठाउने चाहिँ मेरो लागि चाहिँ it's a complete no.
Okay, so now यही टपिकलाई अलिकति म अझै बढाउँछु हैन. I feel like there's a struggle क्या अब यो टपिकमा पनि, because since I'm doing the show and I've been speaking to a lot of people, new moms and their ideas on hating children, which actually मेरो लागि पनि it's a complete no. And I never think कि like consciously पिटेर बच्चालाई रुवाएर चाहिँ बच्चा is never going to be disciplined like you said. अब जिसकै हामीले हो पाया गरौँ भने त्यो एउटा डर गरिदिनु is fine. जस्तो अघि पनि आइकन मैले बदमास गरेर मामा के गर्छ, मामा पाया गर्छ भन्छ, but she's not really scared of that term. Okay? She just knows that I use it to like discipline her a little bit. But I've seen some conflicts when I spoke to some people ki, although this generation wants to raise the kids a certain way, a lot of us live in joint families where हाम्रो in-laws or you live with your mother-in-law and stuff. So त्यो concept र यो concept मिल्दैन हैन. So कति धेरै ठाउँमा चाहिँ मैले कस्तो conflict भेटाएको छु भने हामी हात नउठाउने भने पनि के गर्नु, छोडेर जानुपर्छ, because a lot of them are working moms, and when you come back home or when you see it कि अब सासूले या आमाले या हुन्छ नि older person in the family ले चाहिँ अब पिटिसकेको हुन्छ, हात उठाइसकेको हुन्छ, त्यो खालीको discipline already instilled भइसकेको हुन्छ. So what do you want to say to that generation, and how can us, this generation, tackle this without offending them, hurting their feelings, or फेरि अर्को हाम्रोमा के हुन्छ भने तँलाई मात्र थाहा छ, हामीले पनि त हुर्का छ नि बच्चा, यो एकदम सुनिने चिज पनि हो नि त. So त्यो balance कसरी ल्याउने in a healthy way? I'm sure this is going to help a lot of new moms tackle this equation with their in-laws or mothers or whoever it is that they're staying with while raising their kids.
So let's say you got beaten by your mom, but you don't hold that grudge with her right now, right? No. Of course there is no offense. So what people think is it's fine. I still love my mom. It's there's we do have a loving relationship, but of course that loving relationship didn't happen overnight. You had to work on it for years and years and years and years for you to get to a space where you were both okay with your sort of mindsets.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
your different personalities
Yes,
and accepted
yes,
each other.
all
for
of that,
who we
right?
are types.
I think for me, it's a very difficult thought, but if pity नै हाल्ने हो भने, I would rather मै पिट्यो than somebody else hitting my child. Like, I would go bonkers hola if I come to the house and I hear that my mother-in-law's beaten my child.
रुने गरी वहाँ कि वहाँ.
म त एकदमै, and that's just me, होइन? That would be like a एकदमै ब्याड ड्रिम फर मी.
होइन त्यस्तो ग्राउन्ड रुल्स इस्टाब्लिस जस्तो हामीले गर्न सक्छौँ हुन्छ नि. जस्तो मैले पनि घरमा पिट्ने चाहिँ होइन है भन्यो. एन्ड प्लस माई मदर इज अल्सो, अब मैले जति पिटा खाएँ पनि सी इज नट द काइन्ड टु हिट आयङ्का, बिकज आयङ्का त मुटुको टुक्रा टाइपको होइन. बट देयर आर सम हाउसेस हु एक्चुली डिल विथ दिस के. सो हाउ टु ट्याकल इट? What do you think should be done?
Oh my God. I think conversations, open conversations, maybe telling them also why it is wrong, and, you know, maybe giving them sort of के भने, a backup plan कि पिट्नु मन लाग्दा के गर्ने, you know, maybe just leave her for 5 minutes and go away. और अहिले त सजिलो छ नि त, त्यस्तै साह्रो गाह्रो भयो भने फोन देऊ भन्दैन त. फोन इज स्टिल बेटर
Screen time देखाइदिने एकछिन.
एकछिन तपाईँ आफू पनि शान्त हुनु, बच्चालाई पनि शान्त गर्नुको लागि, होइन? पहिला त नो अप्सन्स भएको हुँदाखेरि पो the frustration is so high, the stress level is so high, हुँदै भइरहेको छैन, के गरेर पनि पिटुम हुने होला नि त. So don't let it get to that position. बरु फोनै देखाइदेऊ, होइन? बरु यहाँ छ फोन, इन्टरनेट यस्तो हो, प्लिज कार्टुन देखाइदेऊ भने मान्छ. Or something like that, like some kind of backup plan and communication. Talk to your husband about it, talk to your wife about it, talk to the involved parents, maybe tell them, you know, I don't know, try and educate them a little bit.
I think healthy conversations भयो घरमा, अनि over and over भनिराख्नु भयो भने चाहिँ no matter how tough the situation is, I think as a mom you have the right to say कि मेरो बच्चालाई पिटेको मलाई मन पर्दैन, कसैले पिटेको पनि मन पर्दैन हुन्छ नि. If that's the struggle that you're having, एकचोटि दुईचोटि भन्दै गर्दाखेरि I'm sure other people will respect it also, okay, in the family.
Because sometimes, let's say आफूले आमाबाउको पिटाइ खाइरहेछ भने they normalize it नि त in their brains also. And tomorrow she's going to get married to somebody, and then when the husband will again give her one slap, it's normal for her होला. So you might want to show them that तपाईले पिटे त ठिकै छ, भोलिको दिनमा बुढाको पिटाइ खाएर चुप्प लागेर बस्ने छोरी चाहिँ तपाईलाई, like something like that, maybe, you know. But let's not normalize this behavior kind of way ma, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that should work.
जे पनि तर्साइदिने क्या, बाजे बच्चालाई पनि तर्साउने, बच्चालाई पनि तर्साउने. Everything boils down to instilling fear, right?
If that works, you know. Okay, so moving on from the child topic, let's go to the part where not moving on. We cannot move on from child topic at all, because this show is entirely about that. But now I wanted to talk about when you send kids to school.
Okay.
I think यो विषयमा पनि हामी धेरै कुरा गर्दैनौँ हैन. It's a big thing, no, to send your kids to the school for the first time, हैन.
Absolutely.
What are the kind of issues do you think that the kids would be dealing with and parents need to know? Just so, for instance, अस्ति मैले few peopleसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि बुलीको कुराहरू आएको थियो होइन, because you don't know what's going to happen. अनि you know how the kid has always been the center of attention घरमा, never been exposed to an environment where there are so many kids, where the kid is just going to be like any other normal kid हुन्छ नि. So त्यो handle कसरी गर्ने? What do you think are the changes the kids go through, and how should parents be prepared for that? जस्तो लाग्छ.
Absolutely. One of my biggest fears with Dia, because she's more like her dad in the sense that she's very soft and she's very nice and sweet and calm. अलिकति म जस्तो भएको would be more म आफैलाई चाहिँ अलिक डर कम लाग्थ्यो होला if she was more outspoken and more like don't touch me types, you know. So I always thought she was very like timid त नभनौँ, but very like ठिकै छ नि त types. So that was a big fear of mine. But what worked for me was that COVID ayo, and then we didn't have to send her to preschool so early. So when she went, she was almost 4. So she was very already, you know, she could communicate properly, and I could tell her so many things and sort of prep her before going to school. आजकल त अझै सानोमा पठाउँछ नि त स्कुलहरू, लाइक 18 महिनाहरूमै गएर हुन्छ कि अझै कम्युनिकेसन त्यति बिल्ड भइसकेको हुन्छ, भएको हुँदैन. So maybe अलिक बच्चाले नभन्ला कि भन्ने is the biggest fear I feel of bullying. So one is you try to have conversations with your child, tell them what could happen, and if that happens, go to a teacher or come back to you and talk about it. You know, one thing you really don't want, bullying is already bad, but you really don't want the child to be bullied and not even come back home and tell anybody. You know, because that would definitely just be the worst case scenario. And nowadays schools are more aware of this, and एउटा teacher is looking after a couple of students, so they're pretty hands on that way. So alikati उ त छ, alikati better त छ, but then again you never know what happens. मेरो छोरी चाहिँ she's very like कस्तो भने, if she considers somebody her friend, she wants उहीसँग खेलेर बस्नु, and she wants that attention. And if this friend goes and plays with another friend, एकदम चित्तै दुखाएर आउँछ क्या, उसलाई चित्त पित्त फुट्लाइ जस्तो हुन्छ. And those are things she'll just have to learn. There's nothing much I can do to help her with it. I'll be like, it's okay. Then you also have your other friends. Like Kairav and they go to the same school, right? So when they go to school, and if Kairav wants to play with his friends, and when Dia wants Kairav and he's not there, like, I'm sad. How are you not there for me? You are my brother. You're supposed to be there for me types, I know. So I tell her, of course, that usko pani friends huncha, timro pani friends huncha. It's all right. But no, it's not okay. Kairav ignored me when I was in school. He should not be ignoring me. He's my brother. So at least she gets a let out, let's say. Yeah. So I guess they'll just have to not deal with it per se, but you are there to support them. But again, it's part of the learning process. And even if we as parents cannot see that, we went through so many hardships and breakups, not just love, even with friends, and embarrassing moments when maybe the teacher scolded us and we didn't know our answer and things like that. And it just sort of builds you to become the person that you are.
Okay.
So you don't want to take out too much of the hardship also away from your children, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's come to you now, okay. After talking about kids for a while, you are also a public figure, and you're also very active on Instagram, also an influencer. A lot of people looking up to you. And so त्यो pressure कतिको आउँछ after being a mother too, about the physical changes in the body. I really want to talk about this, Even like for me also, one of the biggest things that I felt I had to deal with was like how my body changed. And no matter how much I'm trying to lose weight and stuff, my boobs are not going to go back to the way it used to look before, Nita.
That's good.
I mean, it's good, but I've त्यो खालीको pressure आउँछ क्या मलाई चाहिँ, oh my god, I've never had big boobs like this खालीको हुन्छ नि, and it doesn't go away रहेछ जस्तो खालीको, no matter how much I try, and they're like hanging.
That should be the last thing you worry about, Priyanka, big boobs. Let it be there.
So how difficult was it for you to accept that change? First pregnancy, second pregnancy, the body changes? Because I've always seen you very happy. Yeah. You've never actually complained about being big or anything. So how did you handle it?
Because for me, weight loss or putting on weight didn't happen just post-pregnancy. So I went through a terrible phase in my life much before, like a couple of, maybe a decade ago. So that's when I already put on the weight, and I already became fat, and I already got shamed heavily, and then I already looked at my body and felt disgusted, and then I worked my way out of it and built my self-esteem and built my everything back. So by the time I was pregnant and fat and big, and maybe for others ugly, I looked at myself and I was like, so pregnancy per se didn't happen so much. And of course, I'm not as big a celebrity as you to be like literally shamed on a national level. What happened to you was horrible, so maybe I wouldn't have come out of that, but at my level it was still bearable. Having said that, you don't necessarily need to be a celebrity only to feel the pressures, or to want to look a certain way, and you don't just have to be on a public platform for that. I have so many friends out of the industry who have maybe 200 followers on Instagram, and they are so conscious even about their bodies, and putting that photo on Instagram in front of 200 people. Those 200 people are probably their closest friends and family. So त्यसमा पनि consciousness त हुन्छ, because this new body that we are in is so alien, Nita. And again, like I said, all of these pressures come from the outside. Come from the outside, where people believe you have to look a certain way and you have to be a certain way, and those unrealistic beauty standards. But people like you and me who are on the public platform, I feel are changing the narrative right now. Now people, like, even normal त नभन हामी पनि नर्मलै हो, तर people who are leading very private lives also look and say, अनि प्रियङ्का कार्की त त्यस्तो भएर भनौँ न, त्यस्तो गरेर त ऊ त त्यस्तो कन्फिडेन्टली हिँडिरहेछ त, she's rocking that mom bod. Whether what you are going through mentally, of course you did that in a private space, but your sort of responsibility as a public person and how you empowered so many women to feel okay. So we need more women like you who will keep on doing that, and we will continue to change the narrative. So I feel like women should look at the good things that their body has done for them. You've bloody carried a human being. You've manufactured that little thing in your system. You've delivered, and you continue to nurture and raise that child, which is such a big magical thing to be able to do. So constantly look at what you are able to do with this body, and with the support of your family, and with people like you, and maybe not me, but maybe so many other moms who should, keep taking this narrative forward, talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think slowly people will definitely see that change in their own mindsets also.
Wow, that was such a nice answer. I'm feeling like आज म धेरै बोल्नै परिरहेछ because she's doing all the talking, which I'm enjoying listening to. Okay, moving on. We have more segments, but for now, putting all the serious talk aside, we're moving on to our next segment, which is called the Nyano Rapid Fire, okay?
Wow.
I'm going to ask you a few fun questions.
All baby related.
Yeah, baby related, pregnancy related and all that. And let's see how you perform, okay?
All right.
So, your baby's Zodiac Signs.
Dia is a Capricorn. Babu, Dravya is Aries.
How much of the sign matches with their personality?
I
How
don't
much
know.
of a believer are you in these things?
Not so much per se. I don't know. Because पहिला चाहिँ I used to एकदमै believe, होइन?
I know you used to.
I used to. But what happened was I met my husband. He's a Gemini. I'm a Gemini. We are poles apart.
Yeah.
Then every time I look at Gemini stuff, मसँग मिलेको जस्तो पनि लाग्छ. फेरि खै दिगेश पनि होइन जस्तो हुन थाल्यो. So over time I think I've grown out of it. त्यो पहिला बच्चा चाहिँ क्या मिले जस्तो लाग्छ, म यस्तै छु जस्तो लाग्छ नि त. अब अहिले भएन क्या त्यो मलाई त्यति साह्रो.
Okay, so you don't really.
No, and Capricorn-मा चाहिँ अब जस्तो Deepika Di and my mom are Capricorns, and both very different but both wonderful women. So I'm glad my daughter shares that with them. Either way गयो भने, I'd be happy. But Aries त मैले कोही पनि देखेको छुइनँ, so अब I don't know नै के हो त्यो. He just got to figure it out by himself.
Okay. What was your biggest pregnancy craving? First pregnancy mat or second pregnancy mat? Did it change? How was it?
The funny part is pregnancy cravings, post-pregnancy, again pregnancy, now post-pregnancy. अहिलेसम्म मलाई के छ थाहा छ? दाल भात. Like I've become such a bhatini. It's not even funny.
Bhatini? Wow.
Yeah. भात खानु पर्ने क्या भात. Literally. भात खानु पर्ने. अब के भन्ने?
So there you're craving
त्यही
bhat.
हो. And now.
That's such a boring craving.
I
my
know,
God.
just dal bhat.
Okay, with Dia and with Dravya, the cutest baby moments that you felt until now as a mom. I'm sure there's like a gazillion, but if you have to pick one that stayed with you for a very long time, maybe something they said, something they did growing up. Outer moments.
Oh my God.
It's a rapid fire round. You have to answer today, like not tomorrow.
Oh my God. But Diako, the baby moments, I think I've almost forgotten. I think for Dia, it was probably the first time she smiled, was like, oh my God, what's so cute smile. And she had this little chinky eye, so I thought she was going to look like me. Turns out she didn't, but yeah.
For a very long time, she did look like you.
Look like me. So I think the smiles, and she was such a smiley baby,
Yeah.
So Diako, I would say her first smile. Dravyaसँग आउँदा त smile गर्दा it was just like, oh, गरिहाल्छ नि गर्नै पर्दैन smile, like a very normal thing. Dravya could say, I think when he says mama, but the thing is मलाई मात्रै भन्दैन है mama, दिपा दि पनि mama, पूजा पनि mama. होइन तर मलाई चाहिँ एकदम स्पेशल लाग्छ सबलाई ममा भनिरहेछ त नि कति इम्पोर्टेन्ट होला mama
word.
So even when he calls Pooja mama or somebody else mama, it's cute.
Everybody's mama.
Mama.
Oh,
I thought त पनि mama हुन्छ.
Okay. So now we're going to ask you a quick Nyano diaper question, but you can be smart and, look around to find the answer.
Wow.
So name 2 features of Nyano diapers.
Hey, bubble top shield.
And?
Anti-rash shield.
Wow. Sit that down. Good job. As long as you answer it. I'm not going to check how you answered it as long as you did. Okay. Which name do you like more, Dia or Dravya?
I think Dravya was more like 100% me. Like
You picked that name.
I picked that name and I wanted that name, and we went around many other names, but I stuck with Dravya. A lot of people didn't believe in that name or didn't like that name, in the family.
I find Dravy boys are very cute.
Dravy boy.
Dravy boy is very cute.
Digeshले चाहिँ Dravy boy भन्छ. So Dravya was what I picked. Diako लागि चाहिँ what I'd actually picked was Divyana Sophia after Ama, your grandmom and Digesh's grandmom. Yeah. So, and I told Digesh, Divyana Sophia मलाई त कति राम्रो नाम हुन्छ होला लामो. And he was like, अति लामो भयो. D अनि सोफियाको दिया राखिदिउँ न त. So I was like, okay, त्यो पनि ठिकै छ. Small, like from a long name, we just went to a short name.
Yeah.
But he came up with that name. So I'll say Dravya just because it was more me.
Okay, so why is everybody named D?
Because
was there a certain pressure?
my husband is obsessed with D. I think his dad had D, right? And his grandfather had D.
D.
So I don't know, for him it's sort of taking the legacy forward.
J नाम राख्यो भने D बाट हुनु पर्यो
On
types.
D button.
Okay.
And because it was so important to him, I was like, do it.
Okay.
It.
So when is the third baby coming out?
The husband says factory is closed.
Oh no more manufacturing.
No manufacturing.
Because I know that you wanted, like, I don't know, some 5-6
I
kids.
know. I wanted 4 kids at
4,
least.
at least.
But Digesh is like, no way, that's not going to happen. So I've made hopes. Ekdam dip bhaisakyo ke aba chahi, like I'm at 50%.
But 50% is still a lot.
Yeah, but you know my husband,
Yeah.
ek baar thaan liya types he is. So it's difficult to get that out of him.
Okay, so name one person each for both of your babies. If your baby could be with one person forever, who would it be? And you cannot say you or Digesh, anybody else apart from that.
Forever?
Yeah, like let's say तिमी ढुक्क हुने के okay यो person सँग भयो भने like not literally forever, not like you're leaving them or going.
So Dia for Dravya and Dravya for Dia.
Oh wow.
That's exactly why I want siblings. That's exactly why I
If there were
want
4,
lots of kids
so
so that they have each other forever, because we'll be far gone by then, right?
Okay.
Hopefully
So let's
not,
talk
but
about
yeah.
expectations versus reality. And now, what were the 3 expectations that didn't meet with reality after you had babies in your head? यस्तो हुन्छ होला भनेर सोचेको अनि त्यो हुँदैन नि. So give me 3 expectations and reality meet नभएको.
So any baby?
Yeah, any.
So,
just your
okay.
experience.
All right. So one was, so when Dia was born, everything was new and everything. And she was quite, fast walker, fast talker, fast this, that, everything. And everybody kept telling me, कि छोरी मान्छे त्यस्तो हुन्छ, छोरीहरू छिटो बोल्छ, छोरीहरू छिटो हिँड्छ, छोरीहरू स्मार्ट हुन्छ, छोरीहरू इमोसनली यस्तो हुन्छ, उस्तो हुन्छ. So when Dravya came along, I was so prepared that छोराहरू lousy हुन्छ. Because छोरी मात्रै स्मार्ट हुँदो रहेछ, छोरी मात्रै छिटो बोल्दो रहेछ. So because that's what I heard for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Turns out no. Bro is like all over the place. I'm like, के हो मेरो छोरा मात्रै हो यस्तो हो कि सबको छोरा यस्तै हो? Because that's what I heard. So expectation for a छोरा
was like
so
that.
so
not met.
so bad.
Yeah.
हैन बिचारा छोराहरु न त्यति साह्रो bad हुँदैन रहेछ. So that was really shocking for me. That happened like, with my second child. Because you would think that with the first one you've learned quite a bit of things, and the second one everything,
already,
right? That, number 1. Number 2, I always heard I want to sleep like a baby. Sleep like a baby. What? Babies don't sleep? What happened to sleep like a baby? Baby, where? 1 घण्टा बसेन where? आधा घण्टा बसेन where? What is this? I'm like shocked. I thought sleep like a baby meant सुतेको. In all these interviews, I hear people saying, मेरो बच्चा त सुतिरहेछ कि के भयो भनेर डर लागेर नाकहरू चेक गर्छ अरे. खै म त डर लाग्ने कहिले फुर्सदै उठेको. I always know babies awake. So that was number 2, expectation versus reality. And number 3, this happened with Dia. I thought breastfeeding was the most natural thing. I thought बच्चा ट्वाक्क निस्किन्छ, बुबुवा ट्वाक्क राख्दै सुई बुबु निस्किन्छ, अनि त्यहाँबाट बच्चा कुट खान्छ सुत्छ. No, my God, monster. दाँत नभएको बच्चा गरेर यहाँ आउँदाखेरि मुटु ढुक हुने. It was so painful. Oh my God, I had the most difficult time.
I know,
Getting that baby to latch. यहाँबाट उता आउँछ, यहाँ मिलेन समातेको, यहाँ राख भन्छ, यता घुमाउ भन्छ, उता जहीँ घुमाए पनि सब ठाउँ टोक्दैन बिचमा. So I'm like, what? She took 1 month. Bloody 1 month. I was like confused how to feed this baby. The expectation versus reality. Was sad life.
Those are some really life-changing expectations versus reality.
Yep.
Okay, so with Dravita, you got more, it's like a second experience. Yep. And let's talk about your questions with the first time experience. Anything that you felt like, everything is new, no, for the first time, that you felt like, oh my God, I cannot do. सुरुमा के म सक्दिनँ होला जस्तो कुनै त्यस्तो aspect भएको थियो with Dia?
I think, like I said, the breastfeeding part, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can put a baby to sleep. I don't think I can feed a baby. What can I do? Other than खाने र सुत्ने काम छैन त्यो बच्चाको. त्यही दुईटा मलाई गर्नै आएको छैन. So that was like, oh my God, a struggle.
But eventually everything worked out.
Eventually, of course.
And it will for all mothers. I think that's very
eventually
important.
It did.
Okay, who's more involved with the babies, you or Digesh?
I am.
Do the babies want to be more involved with you or Digesh?
Me.
Okay. Mile's answer today.
Yeah.
All right, the last question for our rapid fire round, which you're doing pretty good. If you had to describe parenthood in just one word, what is that word? One word, Not sentence.
Oh God, one word.
Yeah.
Parenthood is magical. I would say magical. And I am the magician.
Siddhyo, it's only one word.
Magical.
I don't need explanation to that one word.
Lala,
Okay,
magical.
Okay, good job. I think you performed pretty well.
Okay.
Now moving on to our last segment for today. And first,
Last segment पुगिसक्यो?
Yeah,
Oh
see, it's
God.
so much fun. The program is so fun when I'm there,
I thought podcast meant like long khaleko kya.
Baba, it's almost an hour that we've started
Sachi?
talking, okay? Thanks.
Gafari
Yeah.
problems.
So
Pura
this
gaf diera pani
last
kam लाग्ने.
segment is called Nyano Prasanga, okay? Because I would say we're going to talk about the beauty of pregnancy and childbirth. Because Suruma, we were addressing all the dark sides and saying how you deal with your body, this, that. Also with you, I didn't dive that much into depression
body,
and anxiety because I know you had none.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I don't need experience from someone who had none, you know,
Yep.
so didn't dive into
Yep.
that. So अब यो पार्टमा चाहिँ how the घरै उज्यालो हुन्छ भन्छ नि त बच्चा आइसकेपछि. So what were the changes that you felt with your partner चाहिँ? In a partner, husband, wife-मा चाहिँ कस्तो खालको changes आउँछ once a baby has arrived?
I think for me, and I think this is a very personal one because most or Matthew no hola. For me, when I was with Dikesh, and for the longest time we worked together, he was the boss, right? So I worked in the same company, which he's CEO and president of, and he's a very strict boss like that. So I think sometimes, it even translates onto relationships when you think you know better, or, I have a little more authority, and it was fine by me, not that he would, try to at the may overrule everything I said or something like that. So I think he always had that energy. But since the babies have come along, now who's boss? Who knows better? Ta-da! Right? So I think because he'll wait for my lead on the babies, Nita. So for instance, I would always take his lead on things. Now he does on me. So I think it's balanced out wonderfully for both of us.
Okay, so any change that you found in your partner, like him as a husband or a father, Jun, that made you go in awe हुन्छ नि लाइक एउटा सिग्निफिकेन्ट चेन्ज जस्तो मेरो कुरा हो भने आयुषसँग मैले ओभरनाइट होइन त फर्स्ट विदिन द फर्स्ट फ्यु विक्स नै आई स दिस मेच्योरिटी इन हिम आफ्टर ही बिकेम अ ड्याड विच सुरुमा थिएन कि सो एनिथिङ लाइक द्याट यु फेल्ट विथ दिकेश अ prominent change?
I think Dikesh has always been extremely mature and extremely responsible. So I had very, very high hopes of him being an extremely wonderful dad, I know, and which he has lived up to perfectly. But I think with Dravya, because we had 2 weeks in the hospital, just the two of us, and it was a really difficult time when we didn't know ke bhairach bachalai hernu gayo bhane injection खुट्टामा पनि घोचेको नाकमा पाइप यस्तो है भेन्टिलेटर भित्र राखेको. Oh my god, it was the most difficult thing to look at. I was crying at the most random things in that first 2 weeks in the hospital. So I think that time he really had to sort of step it up. He was the one, talking to the doctors, taking the news and sort of translating it in a more subtle way, in a softer way for me, and taking care of me in that sense, not like physically bringing me this, that, but more like trying to protect my mental space and, trying to keep me happy and trying to make me laugh, which is unlike his normal personality. He's funny, but he won't go out of his way to try and make me laugh like that. Right?
So he was doing that.
So he was doing that. So more than bachako lai ke bhanda pani him taking care of me is much more special to me. Bacha ta ma herdihalcha.
Okay. So अर्को एउटा कुरा चाहिँ I think which a lot of us women tend to ignore त म भन्दिनँ तर त्यो हाम्रो अटेन्सनमा पर्दैन जस्तो लाग्छ कि being sexually active with your partner after childbirth हुन्छ नि. I've seen this in a lot of houses because जतिको
मलाई हाँस्नु आइसक्यो आन्सर ल भन्नु.
No, because जतिको physical changes we go through, we have the kid inside us, so when the kid is out, it's like, oh my god, this is our world. तर त्यतिको changes the husband को भएको हुँदैन नि त. They actually don't go through anything ni. So for them, I feel like for a very long time they're deprived of the sexual part of a relationship, which they should also get. And I really think we need to talk about this in a healthy way. So how was it with you getting back on that equation and track that sexual side with vacation? How important do you think it is for a relationship?
As soon as you started this question, I was starting to smile because it actually reminded me of this conversation just recently I had with a friend. She was like, I didn't expect it more tones or so tones. You sab ta tha bhakai kura ho. Tara bacha paeपछि त्यो निप्पल चाहिँ कति कालो your areola has become this big and it's so dark I couldn't look at my breasts. Like what was happening over there? So part of the body changes is even
Yes.
that. And sometimes it's not even for the outside. It's just for you to know and like be like,
Yeah,
how am I
yeah.
looking like this? And basically, nature has made your dimples so dark so that the kid can find it even in the dark, so that it can latch and the baby can feed off you. What the hell, त्यो बच्चा खुवाउनुको लागि, we have to go through a phase of dark nipples as well. And even something like that, you the last thing you're thinking about is my husband looking at me like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like that, ta-da! So I'm down everywhere. What's happening? So I think a lot of women are so uncomfortable
Yeah.
in their own bodies that really getting naked is the last thing you want to do, literally the last. And then you might have your scars, you might have your stretch marks, and you might be wobbly here and there. And to be very honest, like, men don't even see it, okay?
Yeah.
And they don't even care so much about it. I think we do that
Yeah.
to ourselves, so it's a very difficult thing. I would say, in terms of like partners, say both of them have to give it time, focus on the baby a little bit. Of course, I mean, if you have somebody who's like, oh, I'm not getting sex from my wife, I need to go around looking for it, but is it त्यस्तोसँग त एक त बच्चै पाउनु हुँदैन,
Yeah.
let them be. Other than that, most good husbands, I think, will give you your time and space and try to get you supported. And and that's it. What was the question?
No, the question was how to handle this, because see, giving
how to
space
handle
and
it,
time,
okay.
that's obviously
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
husband would, but then how much space and time is good enough? Because I've seen some people say, "Bachcha paako हेर्नु न, bachcha त 17 महिना भइसक्यो, we haven't had sex."
Oh shit.
I know. So they would say, where as women and as mothers also, I really feel like sometimes हामीले पनि के mistake गर्छौँ is we put ourselves so much out there just as the mother that we forget that we're somebody's partner as well. नि अनि त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ कति धेरै relationships को equation wrong भएको देखिन्छ के post.
So the sex is one part of it, but the priority is to keep your relationship alive.
Yes,
Keep
most
the sparks
importantly.
alive, because you have to get into this knowing that you have to be a team to raise these kids, not for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, forever. Right? And if you want your team to be a solid team, you have to always have that relationship with your partner. Yesterday, I was doing this Instagram question answer, and I always say I have my priorities straight. Number 1 is my husband. Number 2 is kids. Number 3, 4, 5, right? So you have to prioritize that, whether it means sex, whether it means date nights, whether it means communication, whether it means just cuddling and watching Netflix. Do all of that to keep that spark alive. And when there is sparks, I think sex is a very natural progression of it to happen.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
happen.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing all your wonderful thoughts with us today. I think हामीले viewers ले पनि एउटा different way बाट they got a different perspective, and it's always nice to hear all these stories. And it was so amazing talking to you. जाँदा जाँदै we have Nyano Koseli for you. But before I give you one part of the Koseli, I want to ask you, have you ever used Nyano Diapers for Dravya? दियाको बेलामा त it wasn't there, but for the Dravya?
Not yet. Because not yet. Why? I'll tell you. Because with Dia, I did try a lot of diapers. Then I settled on one which I thought was the perfect one, so I just went with that for Dravi. I haven't looked.
Yeah, so usually त्यस्तै नै हुन्छ हैन. मेरो पनि त्यस्तै थियो. There was a certain brand I was using, but then Nyano came along and I actually got involved. Okay, so this is a small gift for Dravya from Nyano, and I really want you to use it, because I'm not saying this as a brand face or associated with Nyano, but it's actually one of the best diapers I've used for Ayanka ever since I started using it. So I would love for you to try it and give me your feedback and let me know what you think.
Looking to support
Nepali brands, definitely.
And if it does the work that it should, then I'm definitely using it.
So that's that. And also for being such a sport and coming in such short notice and being a part of my podcast. Thank you so much. This is a Nyano Koseli for you from our team.
Thank you so
Thank you again. We all love you so much. Thank you for your time. And always...
तिम्रो अनुहार छोप्यो जस्तो. Sorry.
छैन होला.
हो छोपे थियो. Yeah,
okay. So thank you for always making time for me whenever I've called you for all these shows. It really means a lot to me, and we really, really love you.
Thank you very much.
How did you feel being a part of this podcast?
I always love talking about my kids, and then give me a mic, even better, right? So it was really fun. These are the conversations I think should be out there in the platform. So well done on you to, on taking this initiative and talk to more and more moms, get more and more perspectives. lots of women listening to us. You're doing really, really well. So keep at it. And I had so much fun. Thanks.
Thank you everybody for watching us. र जाँदा जाँदै every day I try to leave you guys with something to look forward to. र today I'm going to talk about that spark that we talked about in the end. Yes, after being a mother, it's magical, like Zenisha said, and that's the center of your universe. But then don't forget the person who helped you create that universe, and don't let that part of your relationship go down the drains. चाहेर नचाहेर कहिलेकाहीँ त्यस्तो भइरहेको हुन्छ. So make effort, make sure that spark is always alive, that love is always alive, because अझै धेरै babies पाउनु पर्यो नि, in the future. So thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you guys again next week. Bye.